U.S. President Joe Biden will ban entry for most non-U.S. citizens who have recently been in South Africa in a bid to contain the spread of a new COVID-19 variant. That's according to a senior U.S. public health official who told Reuters that the ban will start Saturday. In a CBS interview on Sunday, Biden's top COVID-19 medical advisor, Anthony Fauci, said he was concerned that the current vaccines may not be effective against the South African variant, which raises the prospect of reinfection.
A little bit more concerning with the South African isolate, namely the mutant that is now prevalent in South Africa, particularly its negative impact on some of the monoclonal antibodies that have been given for treatment, that it can, in some respects, knocks out their efficacy. It looks like it does diminish more so the efficacy of the vaccine, but we're still within that cushion level of the vaccines being efficacious against these mutants.
Dismissing international criticism over the arrest of opposition leader Alexei Navalny, the Kremlin has accused the United States of America of interfering in China's domestic affairs. After U.S. criticized the Russian crackdown on protesters and called for the release of those who had been arrested by Russia. Spokesman for Vladimir Putin has said that Russian president is open to dialogue with Joe Biden, while also accusing Washington of meddling in the mass protests in Russia. Kremlin spokesman said that Putin would respond in kind, but for that, new U.S. administration must show willingness to talk.
Ja, is goed. Sorry? Okay.
Blindfolded after 2 weeks in the dark, but no doubt grateful to be alive. This is the moment a gold miner was pulled up in a basket after being trapped hundreds of meters below ground. He's part of the 5th group to be rescued in East China's Shandong province. 7 miners were able to walk to the ambulances. Others were clearly exhausted from the ordeal. Rescue teams say they had pulled up the people in better condition first.
The critical case comes before the light one, which is the principle of mine accident rescue. So the severe ones have been pulled up first, and the following are in better physical and psychological conditions.
But the hard work isn't over, with more still trapped. An animation shows what happened. A blast deposited massive amounts of rubble in the shaft. Then began the complex process of rescuing the men. A handwritten note from the miners was hoisted above ground using a metal cable. It read, "Don't stop trying to reach us."
South Africa's former president Jacob Zuma had been summoned this week to testify before the country's Zondo Commission, a body set up in 2018 to investigate state capture, corruption and fraud during his presidency. Once again, though, the 78-year-old failed to show up.
As part of the Zondo Commission, which began back in 2018, dozens of witnesses have already implicated former South African President Jacob Zuma in corruption. Some allege that he was complicit in allowing private interests, including the wealthy Gupta family, to secure hundreds of millions of dollars worth of lucrative government deals, essentially through dodgy dealings. And now this week, Jacob Zuma has refused to appear in front of the Zondo Commission. And it's not the first time that he's failed to do so. He refused to appear throughout 2018. In 2019, he made a brief appearance but denounced the Commission as a politically motivated attack on him. And last November 2020, he also walked out on the Commission.
Will it look strict like last spring, with deserted streets and shops, or more relaxed like in autumn? The French government is weighing up its options for a third nationwide lockdown, which some see as inevitable. One of their chief concerns, the economy. Some think a third lockdown would resemble November's, with people not able to venture further than 1 kilometre from their home and non-essential shops closed. The country is currently under a 6 p.m. curfew, which has aided in slowing down the spread of the virus. But several ministers have said that should that not be enough, another lockdown is inevitable. France's cases have been rising steadily since the end of November. It's currently averaging more than 18,000 new infections a day, much higher than the 5,000 hoped by Macron in December.
Here on from Australia's first case of COVID-19, there's been a major development with Australia's vaccination program, with the Pfizer jab now approved for use here. Straight to federal politics reporter Fiona Willenfee. The PM has just held a press conference. What did he have to say?
Well, Mark, the PM revealed it's been approved for a broader range of the population than expected, for individuals aged 16 and over rather than 18 years old. He says it's now due to be rolled out from late February rather than mid-next month due to overseas supply issues, although he noted that could be pushed out to March if there are shipping delays. We're told it should be followed by the AstraZeneca vaccine about a month later, and that's the one that the government is relying on to vaccinate most Australians. So while Pfizer will vaccinate around 80,000 people a week, there will be enough locally produced AstraZeneca to give 1 million jabs a week.
Breaking news coming in from India, where an intrusion by Chinese troops led to clashes between troops of both the countries. Indian Army foiled the attempt, which happened 3 days back. Indian and Chinese troops clashed at Nakula and Sikkim last week after China's PLA tried to intrude. Injuries have been reported on both the sides. The latest clash at Nakula comes even as Indian and Chinese troops are already engaged in a border standoff in eastern Ladakh. The clash comes amidst the 9th round of military talks between India and China, which lasted nearly for 16 hours. The 9th round of India-China talks got over at around 2:30 a.m. The two sides have already held 9 rounds of talks on various levels, but the negotiations remain inconclusive. Border tensions started simmering between the two neighbors in May 2020. Both sides had deployed thousands of troops along the line of actual control since then, especially along 3 friction points in eastern Ladakh region.
This dagger is called a kris in Indonesia. It's made from gold and is covered in precious stones. It's one of 1,500 items returned last year. For more than 300 years, Dutch colonizers occupied what is now Indonesia. They stole thousands of precious cultural and religious artifacts and took them to the Netherlands. After years of negotiation, the artifacts were finally handed back, the first time such a large collection has been returned to Indonesia. It includes this shield, used by the Dayak people in Kalimantan hundreds of years ago, decorated with the hair of their enemies. Getting these items back took 6 years of planning, and putting them on display was delayed due to the outbreak of COVID-19. The Dutch government offered to return more than 12,000 artifacts in total. The Indonesian authorities chose to select only a small percentage of them.
A humanitarian ship carrying more than 370 people, including a one-month-old baby, is urgently seeking to dock at a Mediterranean seaport as weather in the area worsens. The migrants from Guinea, Sudan and Sierra Leone were picked up after trying to cross to Europe in rubber dinghies. Ocean Viking crew said after calls to Libya went unanswered, the rescue ship has now approached Malta and Italy with requests to be taken in. The vessel is currently in international waters between Italy and Libya.
Well, South Africa is feeling the after effects of tropical cyclone Eloise. Wet weather has hit several provinces.
Nearly 7,000 people have been displaced in Mozambique, where the storm hit hardest. Authorities say Eloise has ruined thousands of hectares of crops.
It's further destroyed 9 schools and damaged 17 others, as well as 11 hospitals. Eloise hit Mozambique's Sofala coastal province on Saturday morning before heading inland.
Authorities say it's too early to gauge the full extent of damage in Beira and across the rest of the region. Eloise has caused heavy rainfall in Zimbabwe, Eswatini and parts of South Africa.